Today I want to talk a little bit about the difference between a clean keto diet and a dirty keto diet. Now, this really goes beyond just keto. Let's just say low carb in general, or really any food in general, or any kind of diet plan in general. But you could say clean low carb and dirty low carb, right? So, okay, what you have to ask yourself in the beginning here is, why am I doing all of this? Why am I doing low carb? What's the purpose? Why am I doing keto? Let's just say keto for now, but just realize it could go for any of those other ones. It probably has something to do with, if you're like most people who go into a keto diet these days, because earlier in the past it was for people with like neurological problems. But you're probably looking at, well, how can I lose weight? Maybe I've tried a certain kind of diet and I've stalled out, so now I'm thinking keto to really push through and lose that extra weight. Maybe you're looking to reverse diabetes or fix insulin resistance or something like that, so you're going into a keto diet. So the first thing is to ask yourself, why is it that you're doing this? All right. If the goal is simply to lose weight, okay, or you could say fat loss. There's a difference between fat loss and losing weight. So for fat loss, if that's your only goal, then something like dirty keto will work, okay? And we're going to talk about what that is in a moment. If your ultimate goal is to be a much healthier person, then a clean way of eating is the way to do it. And then, if you're human, you find the balance, right? Okay, so dirty keto. What is dirty keto? Dirty keto would be something where the clean keto and dirty keto have the same macronutrients numbers. So you eat the same amount of fat, you eat the same amount of carbs, and you eat the same amount of protein, percentages of those things. The difference is what you're eating of those things. Here's some examples of dirty keto oils. Dirty keto oil to cook with would be any kind of vegetable oil, soybean oil, corn oil, just a plain vegetable oil or something like that. Whereas for a clean kind of keto, you would go with something like avocado oil with olive oil or coconut oil. So you might go with those. Those are much healthier for you. Now, the reason why they're healthier for you is that they are higher in what's called omega-3 fats, which are anti-inflammatory, okay? On the other side, the vegetable oils are higher in what's called omega-6 fats, which are more inflammatory. This is where the real difference happens, is inflammation, okay? Inflammation, if you're not familiar with it, Google it and figure it out, because it's very important for you to understand if you're wanting to achieve much better health. Inflammation is a root cause of so many diseases out there: heart disease, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, you name it. With the heart disease, for example, the classic way of thinking of LDL cholesterol is that LDL is bad cholesterol, right? Okay, so this is a perfect example of a difference between clean keto and dirty keto. So dirty keto, you might be drinking, let's say, diet soda, and it's got some preservatives in it, it has sucralose in it, it might have aspartame in it, and all those things. Okay, those things cause inflammation in your body. It's bad for the gut bacteria. Sucralose, for example, which is a low-carb sweetener, bad for your gut bacteria. Okay, you can cause inflammation. Now, LDL cholesterol, we all hear how LDL cholesterol is bad, it's the bad cholesterol. Well, guess what? It's not good or bad. It's just, it's not even cholesterol. It's a carrier protein to carry cholesterol, right, to where it's needed. So LDL delivers the cholesterol to the cells. HDL brings the cholesterol back. That's why they say LDL or HDL is so good, because it's bringing the cholesterol back. Now, cholesterol doesn't clog up in your arteries, right? What clogs up in your arteries is plaque. Now, we know that cholesterol plays a part in that. When cholesterol gets into those arteries, the plaque starts forming. Well, the problem is is that then we start saying, okay, well, now we need to lower cholesterol. We need to lower cholesterol. And the real question here is, well, why is the cholesterol getting there in the first place? Okay, why is it there? Why is it causing the plaque to build? Well, it's getting there because of inflammation. All right, you're causing the LDL to be bad. You're causing it to be bad. You're causing it. There are these big floaty things, and when you eat the wrong foods, you drink the wrong foods, foods which might be low in carbohydrates, which is good. That's a definite good start. That's going to help lower some inflammation. But if you're still eating and consuming inflammatory foods, which you can do on dirty keto, then you can take that LDL cholesterol particles, okay, big particles, and they try to get in as the big particle. This is your artery. It tries to get in. It can't get in, right? Now, if you break it up by eating bad foods, you're oxidizing the LDL cholesterol and you're breaking it apart. So now there are these little LDL particles. They're called small LDL particles. So now it can get into the artery, the lining of the artery, and it can cause damage. That inflammation causes damage. Well, whenever there's damage to something, like the skin, for example, cholesterol is needed to repair it. All right, so the cholesterol is getting in there to repair the damage caused by your inflammation. And that is causing plaque to form. And this is where the difference between something like a clean keto diet and a dirty keto diet comes into major play here. Because having that macronutrient count just right is going to help you to lose weight, because you're going to lower insulin levels. You're not going to be storing a bunch of fat. Hopefully you're burning a bunch of fat and everything. That's great for lowering your body weight. But what's happening on the inside is your brain still getting poisoned by chemicals, by processed foods. Another example, you could, even if you're eating what you think would be clean keto, you could actually be causing inflammation. And a perfect example of that would be frying foods with olive oil, or frying foods in general, to be honest with you. But let's just say, you think you're doing clean. You put the olive oil in a pan, you heat it up, and you char up a little bit of food, or you get the crust on it using almond flour or something like that. The thing is that you're turning the olive oil carcinogenic because it has a low smoke point, and you're just damaging all the fats. And then you consume those damaged fats, and it wreaks havoc inside your system. And that's another way where you've kind of turned clean keto into dirty keto. Okay, so if you're really trying to better your health, avoid major diseases down the road like cancer, heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, what have you, then you want to eat things that are going to give you less inflammation. And for many of us, that includes dairy. And I know on keto diet, we see lots and lots of cheese out there, which is a perfect example of clean keto and dirty keto. Let's just take cheese and meat, for example. We've heard that like maybe meat is kind of bad for us. It can cause cancer and all those kinds of things. Well, there is a big difference between grass-fed beef and grain-fed beef, right? So grass-fed beef, they have found, has higher omega-3 fats, just like we talked about with the oils, which are anti-inflammatory. And we've seen that the grain-fed animals are higher in inflammatory markers. They're higher in omega-6 fats because they're consuming grain that comes from things sprayed from glyphosate in the fields. And they're eating out of a box rather than grazing on grass. Ideally, it's organic grass, or it's not sprayed with pesticides. So that with meat, that's where a little difference between dirty keto and clean keto can come into play. Grass-fed versus grain-fed. Same thing with cheese. If you're just going out and buying cheese and it comes from cows that have been grazing in the box, that's just like buying the grain-fed beef. that cheese is probably causing inflammation inside of your body. Not to mention the whole process of how cheese is made with the mold and all that kind of stuff, which just causes even more inflammation. If you really wanted to do keto or low carb and have less inflammation, but you wanted dairy in your diet, your best bet would be to go organic and grass-fed, pasture-raised, and raw if possible. So like raw, unpasteurized cheese from grass-fed cows is really what you should be using. If it's not that, then you're probably ingesting some of those pesticides from like glyphosate from being sprayed over the crops and everything. And that's where people say, I do a little bit of dirty keto. Okay, you're losing weight. That's a great start. Now let's talk about what are we going to do inside our body to be really healthy. That's when you need to stop drinking the sodas. That's when you need to start thinking about what oils you're cooking. And you should do those right away. But at least, if you have to start with dirty keto, you have to start with dirty keto, if that's the way that you have to do it. But that's what the differences are. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions about it, please comment in the comment section and let's talk about it.